Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the world of Uganda's super rich. Ever wonder how fortunes are built? We're talking massive wealth, from coffee beans all the way to sprawling telecom empires. And yeah, we're going to count down to see who's number one. So, who are the real power players in one of East Africa's most dynamic economies? We're about to get into the stories behind these huge family fortunes. We're talking legacy, raw ambition, and some seriously smart moves. You know, Uganda's booming economy has created the perfect conditions for some people to build incredible wealth. But the big question is, who's really made the most of it? That's what we're here to find out. We're going to count down the wealthiest families, look at how they built their empires, and see who comes out on top. Okay, so before we jump into the absolute top tier, we've got to talk about the foundation. These are the families who really laid the groundwork, building diverse businesses that are the bedrock of Uganda's economy. And what's so cool here is just how different all these businesses are. I mean, you've got everything. On one hand, you have a guy like Andrew Rugasira, who's a total pioneer for getting African-owned coffee onto shelves around the world. Then, on the other hand, you have the Madhavani family. Their business has been around since 1912. It's this amazing mix of brand new ideas and legacies that are over a century old. All right, so that's the groundwork. Now it's time to climb the ladder. We're getting into the real heavyweights now. Let's kick off the countdown of the top 5. And kicking off our top 5 is the Mbaye family. The head of the family, Charles Mbaye, is basically a master of smart investments. He's got his hands in companies that, well, pretty much power the daily lives of millions of people in Uganda. So we're talking about a family fortune of over $350 million. And where does that come from? It's all about having big stakes in some of the most well-known multinational companies in the country. You know, companies like MTN in telecoms and Eskom in the energy sector. Coming in at number 4, this one is a story of pure modern ambition. It's the Hamid family, and they're led by one of the most dynamic young entrepreneurs on the entire continent. Yeah, Mohammed Hamid literally built an industrial empire from scratch. The Aya Group, it's a huge conglomerate. And get this, back in 2015, Forbes named him one of the richest young people in all of Africa. I mean, that's just incredible. Talk about making a statement. Okay, we are now officially in the top 3. And this is where the numbers start getting, well, huge. At number 3, we have the Karim family. And they're the people behind a brand that you'd find in pretty much every home in Uganda. Their company, the Mukwano Group, is just everywhere. We're talking about the essentials: cooking oil, soap, plastics, you name it. And being such a staple in everyday life, well, that's how you build a staggering $700 million fortune. All right, here we go. The runner-up, the second richest family in all of Uganda. Their fortune comes from an empire that's not only incredibly diverse, but has also been around for a long, long time. Karim Hirji is a true veteran of the Ugandan business scene. I mean, he got started way back in the late 1960s, and from there, he built up the Dembe Group into this absolute powerhouse. Think about it. They've got the imperial hotels, major finance firms, and some of the most valuable real estate you can find in Kampala. Okay, so let's just pause for a second. We've gone through some massive fortunes, right? Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. But there's one family, one that is in a completely different universe, all by themselves at the top. And so at number 1, with a fortune that is just so big it's hard to even wrap your head around, it's the Ruparelia family. The man at the top, Sudhir Ruparelia, is worth an unbelievable $1.2 billion. Let that sink in. That doesn't just make them the richest family. It makes him Uganda's one and only billionaire. Period. So how do you build a fortune like that? Well, this gives you a pretty good idea. The Ruparelia Group isn't just one thing. It's a massive, sprawling conglomerate. They're in pretty much every important part of the economy. We're talking banking, real estate, hospitality, education, media, the whole shebang. And to really see what we're talking about, just look at this chart. It shows you the insane gap at the top. The Ruparelia fortune isn't just a little bit bigger than everyone else's. No, it's a giant leap. It towers over the number 2 and 3 spots by hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So, okay, we've seen who's at the top. But what does all this concentrated wealth actually mean for Uganda as a whole? Well, here's the bigger picture. These families, who are mostly centered around Kampala, aren't just hoarding cash. They're really seen as the engines of the national economy. They're the ones driving growth, starting new ventures, and pushing innovation that impacts everybody. And that really leaves us with one big, important question to think about, right? As these incredibly powerful family dynasties get bigger and pass that wealth down from one generation to the next, what happens then? How is all that influence, all that capital, going to shape the future of Uganda for years and even decades to come?